we're going to look at how we find a missing number when we have a sentence like this. So we're given a number, a percentage is a percent of another number, which is called the base. So an example would be 30 is 25% of 120. Now in this example here, all three numbers are given, but in the problems that were given in the book, one of these numbers will be missing. So our job is to figure out which of those numbers is missing, and once we decide which number is missing, we now use the formula for that number to solve for it and find out what its value is. So let's look at some examples. So if we look at this first one here, it says find 70% of 25. So I'm going to look, I've got 70%, I've got of 25. So if I match this up with my sentence here, you can see I have the base and I have the percent, but this thing I'm supposed to find, my percentage, is what's missing. So I'm going to go down here and look at my formula for percentage. Percentage equals percent times base. Okay, anytime we see this word of, that means to multiply. All right, so we're going to match it up here. Percent times base. Okay, now before we multiply our percent, so we're going to have, let me put that up there, 70% times 25. Before we can multiply this number 70 by the number 25, our percent needs to be converted into a decimal number. So we convert it by dividing by 100, because 70% means 70 divided by 100, and that means we move the decimal 2 places to the left. There is no decimal in this number, a whole number, so we're going to spawn a decimal here at the end, because 70 point is the same as 70. Now we're going to go 2 to the left to divide by 100, and our number now becomes 0.70 times 25. Now we can do some long multiplication to get our answer. So let's rewrite this. 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. On our second row, we need our placeholder. 7 times 5, I'm going to cross this off because I've used it up. 7 times 5 is 35. So 5, carry the 3. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus 3 is 17. I am now done, so I'm going to add these numbers together. 0, 0 plus 5 is 5, 7, and 1. Now the last thing I have to do is deal with this decimal place. So how this works is we count how many decimal places we have in each of our numbers. Our first number does not have any decimal places. Our second one does, however. Let's count 1, 2. So this has 2 decimal places. So if this one had decimal places, we would add them together, but it doesn't. Okay, so we just have 2. So it means in our final answer down here, we're going to go to the left 2 decimal places. So spawn a decimal here at the end. We're going to go left 1, 2. We're going to end up there. So our final number is 17.5. So this tells me, if I were to fill in the sentence here, 17.5 is 70% of 25. For our next example, we have 24 is what percent of 32. So let's underline the key parts of our sentence. I have a number here, 24. It says is what percent, and then of 32. So if I match it up here to my sentence, I have the base, which is 32. The percent is missing, and I have the percentage. So this percent is what I need to find. So I'm going to look again at my formula. My formula for percent says I need to divide the percentage by the base. So percent equals percentage, which is 24, divided by my base, which is 32. Because we've been asked for a percent, we're actually going to do the division. We're not just going to reduce the fraction. We're going to divide it till we get a decimal number so we can convert it into a percent. So 24 divided by 32. So let's do a long division problem. 24 goes inside the house, then is divided by the number 32. 32 into 24. Well, 32 can't go into 24, so we have to spawn a decimal here at the end of 24. And when we have a decimal in our number here, we're going to move that decimal straight above to the top. And now we're going to put a 0 at the end. So you notice we haven't changed our number. We still have 24.0, which is the same as 24. But now we've given ourselves another digit to work with. Now, how many times does 32 go into 240? Well, since this is not a lesson on long division, I'm going to do this the quick mental math way. If you don't know how to do long division, I recommend that you either watch my video on long division or you watch someone else's video. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a pencil real quick, and I'm going to estimate this as 30, and I'm going to go 0, 0 off. Now I have 3 into 24. Well, I can do that mental math. 3 goes into 24 8 times. The only problem is my number is 32 and not 30, so I'm going to go down to 7. So I'm going to put a 7 here. Okay, now I've got 7 times 32. So 7 times 2 is 4, carry the 1. 7 times 3, 21, 22. Now let's subtract. I've got to borrow. 10 minus 4 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, now I have 32 into 16. Well, actually, I can't do that. You have to bring something down. Because we're trying to get a decimal number for a percent, I'm going to go to at least 2 decimal places, maybe 3. So let's add another 0 here and bring that down. Okay, and now I've got 32 into 160. So I'm going to do the same thing as last time. I'm going to estimate as 30. I'm going to take off a 0 here. 3 into 16 goes 5 times. So 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 3 is 15. 16. It's exactly 160. So my answer here is 0.75. That's my decimal place. Okay, so I'm near the end, but I'm not there yet because my answer needs to be a percent, and this is in decimal form. I want it to have a percent sign. So I'm going to take my number 75 and I'm going to turn it into a decimal place. Or a percent, sorry, by timesing it by 100. When I multiply by 100, it means that I move the decimal 2 places to the right. So 0.7512. So my answer is 75%. Okay, so let's plug this back into our sentence. It means that 24 is 75% of 32. For our last example, we have 12, so we're given a number, is 60% of what number? So let's match it up to our sentence. We're given the percentage, we're given the percent, but we're missing the base number. So let's pull this down and look at our formula for base. Base is our percentage divided by our percent. So let's write that down. We've got base equals our percentage, which is 12 divided by 60%. Okay, so just like before we can use this 60%, it needs to be in decimal form. So let's go over here and just on the side, we're going to do 60 per 100%. Okay, that's 60. And we're going to move the decimal, right? Because when we divide by 100, we move the decimal to the left. It has 2 zeros, so we're going to go 2 places to the left. We're going to spawn a decimal at the end because there isn't one. Go 1, 2. So our final number is 0.6. So this right here is the number we're going to work with instead of 60%. So let's rewrite our division problem. This is 12 divided by 0.6. Now I could put 0.60. That is totally fine, but I don't need to. It won't make a difference to the number. I can just write 0.6. Now let's write a long division problem. So let's have 12 divided by 0.6. Okay, the number on top goes inside the house. The fraction means divide, and the number on the bottom goes outside. Now, when we divide, we cannot have a number with a decimal on the outside. So we're going to move the decimal until it's all the way at the end. So this only needs one move. And if we do that, it means we also have to do this to the number inside. So we'll spawn a decimal at the end, move it 1 place to the right, insert a 0. So our problem becomes 120 divided by 6. Okay, so 6 into 12, it goes twice. 2 times 6 is 12. 6 into 0 goes 0 times. 0 times 6 is 0. Now I have no remainder left over. Okay, a common mistake that students make is after they bring down this 0 here, they stop because they think they're at the end and the remainder is 0. But after we bring down a number, we have to do another round of division. So if it doesn't go in, we put 0 at the top. It's really important because 6 times 2 is just 12, but 6 times 20 is what gives us 120. So 20 is our answer. Now this number is just a number, it is not a percent, so actually we've come to the end of our problem. So let's insert that number back into our original sentence. 12 is 60% of 20.